Hello everyone, my name is Cortex, and as you can see by the title and thumbnail, I did get swarmed by Wildline and Mr. Hope. Now, I've said multiple times throughout this KVCAN before in my streams that I don't think they will swarm me because I'm too high power. Well, I was wrong. I was very, very wrong, and they did definitely swarm me. So, let me take you through exactly what happened. I just ended my stream, and I was still on stream on voice with Ploto, when all of a sudden I was sitting literally in the same spot I am right now on an enemy fort, so I wasn't exactly minding my own business. I'm random teleported here, and Wildline, Mr. Hope teleport in right next to me and send their marches out and start storming. I have the footage of this, by the way, which I'll show in just a little bit. And it all happened so quick that I was like, kind of like, whoa, what just happened? Now, thankfully, I had already geared up my Hera earlier because I went AFK here for a little bit, and yeah, I obviously wasn't gonna leave my city naked off territory whilst being away from my computer. Now, this is not the first time I've been swarmed by Wildline and Mr. Hope. This is actually the third time, and I'll link the videos to the two other times in the description down below, so you can go check those out if you're interested. But back then I was way lower power. I was sitting around the 100 million power mark. Now I was sitting at over 150 million power at the time when they swarmed me. I took a few deads in the KVK before they swarmed me. So yeah, I was around the 150 million power, 151, 152, something like that, when they did swarm me. So I thought, they won't raw swarm a 150 million power player with a pretty strong garrison. Anyway, we'll go through everything that I could have done differently, as well as everything that I used and the report after we go through the footage, so let's get right into it. So anyway, here we have the footage. You can see this all happened very, very quickly. Mr. Hope just TP'd in, you can see him on the bottom. Now Wildline is TPing in at the top, and they're sending out their marches, and yeah, I'll explain later what I would have done differently if I had more time, but you can see I basically didn't have any more time than, well, I couldn't do anything else because it all happened very, very quickly. So you can see them positioning here around my city, obviously to not waste any damage and not take any unnecessary damage themselves. And this all went very, very fast. So you can see they start hitting soon. I'm gonna check that my commander tab is all figured out with my garrison commanders. And then King's drop, thumbs up, and here we go. Now, whoever dropped general on me was super, super quick. I just don't know who did it, but thank you, because that saved me probably a few troops. And you can see I do a lot of damage immediately. All of Wildline's marches in the first skill cycle drop to yellow. Zhuge Liang drops to red, dies. Then he pulls off. All his marches are yellow. Couple seconds later, Mr. Hope also pulls off. And you can see all their marches were pretty low at the end of that. I immediately heal my hospital, so as to prepare for any follow-up attack, because you never know. Then my Fate Changer pops up, and that's. So yeah, you could see it all happened very, very quickly. Now you can also see that my hospital did fill up, and we'll go through the report in just a second here. But it all happened super, super quickly, so now we'll go through the report, as well as what I would have done differently if I had more time to prepare for this. So here we are in the report. I'll go through each of their individual marches first and show what they were using, as well as their march size, etc., and how much damage each march took, and which march performed better and which march performed worse. And then we'll go through the total report at the end, obviously. So first of all, we have a BQ with Lucha. It did decently, traded about 1 to 2 negative. Now you can see that my city garrison is Hera Lapu Lapu, and I'll explain afterwards what I would have done differently if I had more time. And you can see I have a lot of troops. I have 9.5 million troops, almost all T5, with a few T4 and a few sieges. But mostly T5 troops, a lot of T5 archers. And yeah, so raw swarming this city is very, very difficult. And I'll show you my gear and everything that I used after. So yeah, I mean, raw swarming this city is no small feat, to say the least. But they did it, so respect to them. Even though I said multiple times they won't do it, they still did it. Either way. So Baichi Lucha did 114k deads for them, 55k sevs to me, and 1,100 deads as well to me. Now these are all my deads. I didn't have any reinforcements in my city at the time, so these are my deads. And then we had Ragnar Lodbrok with Scipio Prime, took 200,000 deads and dealt 43,000 sevs and 17,000 deads to me. So this march did not do nearly as well as the BQ Lucha. And then we have Zhuge Liang with Herman. I think this was the march tanking my city, because you could see that was the march that died first. It did horribly, as you could expect from the tanking march. 278,000 deads. This march fully died and dealt 83,000 severely wounded to me. And now we have a Ho Chu Bing with Belisarius Prime. which this is a very good swarming march and enables all of the marches swarming to do 12% more all damage to me, as well as have some rage mitigation on my garrison. This march also did very well. It took 100,000 deads, but did 117,000 sevs to me, as well as 1,200 deads. And then there's the Gamchan Achilles, which took 100 and almost 50,000 deads and dealt 75,000 sevs and 2,000 deads to me. This march did not do that great, which, I mean, they lose a lot of their skills when they're swarming, but still not that bad compared to some of the other marches. Here we have QSH with YSG, 83,000 deads for him, 85,000 sevs and 6,000 deads for me. Also did pretty well, to be honest. Any march that trades positive, like in the sense of like deads to sevs, obviously they won't trade positive in deads, but yeah, any march that trades positive is doing pretty good. Then we have a Zhuge Liang with Herman, and that took 182,000 deads. Now this is Mr. Hope's marches. We've just finished White Lion's marches. Took 182,000 deads, dealt 55,000 sevs and 52,000 deads to me. So you can see Mr. Hope dealt most of the deads to me because White Lion was the one actually tanking my city. And then we have Ragnar with Scipio Prime, 131,000 deads for him, 47,000 sevs, and 35,000 deads for me. And then we have Ho Chi Bing with Arthur, 143,000 deads, to 70,000 deads, 83,000 sevs for me, so this march also did pretty good. Then we have a Qin Shi Huang with Yi Songye that took 242,000 deads, dealt 37,000 deads and 68,000 sevs to me. This might have been the march that took over tanking after White Lions Zhuge Liang died. I'm not sure, but maybe. And either way, then we have his Bai Chi with Lucha that took 73,000 deads, dealt 58,000 sevs and 16,000 deads to me. Also did pretty good. And then his Gamchan Achilles took 126,000 deads, dealt 35,000 deads and 6,000 sevs to me. So, with all that being said, the total report looks like this. I did 1.823 million deads to them. They gained 17 million kill points. I gained 36 million kill points. I took, obviously, full hospital, 780,000 severely wounded, as well as 277,124 deaths. Now, obviously, these guys have literally infinite troops. They can't run out of troops. Well, maybe it's possible, but either way, they have infinite troops, you could say. So, them taking these deaths doesn't mean anything. Them inflicting 277,000 deaths on me, that affects me, because I can run out of troops, right? Not only, obviously, I'm a high-powered player now, but 150 million power, I can definitely run out of troops, right? So, for them, this doesn't matter. Even though you might be like, oh my god, they took so many deads and only dealt, 277,000 deads to me. That doesn't matter to them. That's how you have to look at it. So, yeah, even if the report looks very bad for them, it's still not bad at all. Now, I want to show you the gear and the armaments I used, as well as the talent, and what I would have done differently if I had more time. I'm also going to go ahead and show you my crystal tech and how far we've progressed over there. So let's go through that first. Why am I so soon then? So let's go through that first. So you can see my tech. I have obviously all the first troop stats maxed, and then all the economy, and then all of these stats are almost maxed. I'm working on the siege right now to unlock my 7th march. Then all the march speed stuff doesn't really matter for this case. And then over here you can see I have the archer health maxed, which is very important in this case because you could see how many archers I had in my city compared to everything else. And then I have a little bit of work put into my infantry and my cavalry health, but not much at all. And then my archer march speed maxed, and then, yeah, that's basically it. And then some all damage dealt to each troop type, and damage mitigation from each troop type. But yeah, so the archer tech is super, super important for me in this case, because you can see I have a lot of archers in my city. Anyway, so for the gear and the armaments that I used, this was the equipment. It can't really get that much better for sort of an anti-swarm city garrison. You could maybe tweak the accessories a tiny bit, maybe, but it doesn't get much better than this either way for anti-swarm city garrison equipment. Now for the armaments, I would have done differently if I had more time. I had and honestly, I could have had time to do that if I really thought faster. I have the Tercio, which is a very mediocre Tercio set, as you can see. We have the precautions, which is actually very good in this situation, but other than that, we have inscriptions, but they're not amazing. The stats are decent, and if you know how Tercio works, you know that every single stat applies to all troop types, so even the siege health applies to my archers, cavalry stuff, and it applies to every unit type. So I had this Tercio set on. Now, this is what I did use, and also let me show you the talents. My talents were not set up for a city garrison either. This is my flag defense talents, so I was not set up for a city garrison talents either. Now, if I had more time, I'll tell you what I would have done differently. First of all, I honestly, if I knew that this was gonna happen, but how could I know? I would have obviously gone and maxed Matthias immediately, if I knew this was going to happen. I would have just maxed him out, because we have the commander reset coming sometime soon. We heard in the dev update recently. So I'll be able to essentially max one commander for, well, not free, but you get what I mean. So I would have maxed Matthias and put him on the wall, probably with Lapu Lapu, just to increase my damage dealt. So basically, if you're a big powered city, you want to do as much damage as possible, because if you do more damage, you kill the enemy quicker, which means they will deal less damage to you. So I probably would have maxed Matthias and put him with Lapu Lapu. Now, with what I already have, what I would have done differently, and this might sound crazy, but I probably would have put Lapu Lapu primary with YSG secondary on the wall. Now, why is that? It's because I want to do more damage. It's sort of the same logic. YSG provides a 62% skill damage bonus, as well as some archer stats, which is very valuable to my city, as you can see how many archers I have. And Lapu Lapu does a ton of skill damage. Now, I had Hera Lapu Lapu. Hera is a very tanky commander. He does also do some damage, counterattack, and he does some skill damage boost, so it's not a terrible choice. But the main thing, honestly, I would have changed. Maybe I could have left the Hera Lapu Lapu and it would have been fine. Let's say I left the same garrison, but I would have definitely swapped to my archer armaments with my wedge formation, because I have so many archers in my city, and this set also has 7.1% all damage with basically the best inscriptions you can get. So yeah, I would have definitely put this on, and I honestly could have had time to do this if I just thought about it quicker, but I thought about it like during, and it was already too late, obviously. But I would have swapped to this set and just done more damage than having my Tercio set on. But either way, it's easy to look in hindsight and say what I could have done better. But you could see it happened super fast. I didn't really have that much time to react. I mean, you can see in the report, right? This lasted for what, 27 seconds? That was the entire report you can see right here. Literally 27 seconds and it was all over. They TP'd it in, center marches, swarm me immediately. 20 seconds later, it was all over. So yeah, it all happened very fast. I was like a bit shocked and my adrenaline was pumping, because I genuinely did not think they were going to do it. But either way, huge respects to them, and yeah, I did not think they would do it, but they did it. So I have a lot of respect for that. And either way, let me show you guys the zone. This is what it looks like right now. We basically burnt them out of the center of the map. There's only this fort left that's burning now, that's not being defended. And then they have this little corner which they have fort walled off left, which I think they're trying to defend this here on. And we are currently working on pushing through, so we're gonna keep fighting here until we have them out of the zone, I assume. I'm not in leadership, so I don't actually know, but that's what I guess. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss anything of this crazy KVK. Maybe they'll swarm again, maybe they won't, we'll never know. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, and thank you for watching.